Roanoke Island. It's also known as the Star Center. And in here, we actually take care of sick and debilitated turtles. We bring them in, we fix them up, and then we release them back into the wild where they are healthy and can have a second chance being in the open ocean. Technically, here in Star Center, we have two big seasons when it comes to sea turtles. From October to about the beginning or mid of March, we see what we call cold stunned sea turtles. Cold stunning is essentially a hypothermia that sea turtles exhibit signs of when they kind of stick around in our sound a little too long. As the temperatures change and they drop pretty quickly around here in the winter, what happens is we see those symptoms of upper respiratory infections. We can sometimes even see frostbite later in the year. So we fix those turtles up in the winter and get them out as quick as possible. The second time we get a lot of sea turtles is in the summer. Here in the Outer Banks, we have a lot of boat traffic, a lot of people out on the water, and the major things that we see are fishing interactions, be it hooking ingestions, we see boat strikes, we can see entanglements. And all of those things can be helped, or if they're spotted out in the water, a lot of times our charter boat captains will actually let us know and bring them in for us, and they can help us get them into rehab a lot sooner than waiting for them to kind of strand on the beach. And we get everything in between as well. So here in the Outer Banks, we see 4 types of sea turtles, but 3 mainly on the island that we get in for rehabilitation. So the ones that we see in rehab are the Kemp's Ridleys. They are the smallest and the most endangered sea turtle species that we see in here. And then we typically see them at a really small juvenile stage, maybe about the size of a dinner plate, although we do have a couple outliers that are about 40 pounds, so a little bit bigger. We also see green sea turtles. Green sea turtles are kind of our dominant species when it comes to cold stun season. We see a lot of them, about 6 to 10 pounds is kind of our average. We also see loggerhead sea turtles. We see them not only during cold stun season, but they are our primary nesting turtles up here in the Outer Banks. Sea turtles come into Star Center via our volunteers that comb the beaches during certain times of the year, or visitors to the island finding them on the beach. We partner with different organizations to bring sea turtles into us so that we can start their rehabilitation process, and that all starts with a basic intake exam. Just like you would go to the doctor if you were feeling sick. We take an internal body temperature so that we can better gauge how to warm them up. Sea turtles have to be warmed up gradually, especially when they have a really low body temperature. Otherwise, their body can kind of fight against them in that process. We also take a blood sample. We can analyze that blood sample so that we know what vitamins they are deficient in, how dehydrated they are, and it gives us kind of an indicator or a baseline for when they start to go through rehab to kind of compare how they're progressing through rehabilitation. We also do kind of a physical examination. We look at their eyes, nose, mouth, just to make sure that everything is nice and clear. Once they are stable, they can start to get some enrichment items. We try to give them things to interact with or things in their environment to kind of stimulate natural behaviors like foraging. So live food, offering them a crab or a jellyfish, something to kind of stimulate that natural foraging and hunting response in the sea turtles. Once they look okay behaviorally, once their blood work looks great, we talk to our veterinarians and we make a plan for release. We have the option of partnering up with quite a few different agencies. We have Park Service down here, we have Fish and Wildlife, we have the Coast Guard down in Hatteras and in Norfolk, Virginia, and they can do boat releases out to the Gulf Stream, or we can do beach releases here whenever it's warm enough. So we have quite a few options in getting these guys back out. Come learn more about sea turtles here at the Star Center at the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island. Thanks for watching.
Nothing beats a day at the beach, but the power of the ocean deserves everyone's respect. So if you plan on going for a swim when the surf is rough,
why risk it? When in doubt, just stay out.
But if you do decide to take a dip,
Warning flags are flying for a reason. Listen to the lifeguards. Stay out.
hey ladies, if you're an experienced swimmer and think you can safely handle the surf,
Even the most experienced swimmers can get caught in a rip current and swept out to sea. Stay on the shoreline.
if the waves are rough, be sure to take a flotation device, such as a raft or a bodyboard.
Rafting boards aren't designed to save your life. If the surf is rough, just play it safe and stay out.
Well, there you have it. Make sure your Outer Banks vacation is a memorable one for all the right reasons.
Know before you go by checking the daily OBX beach conditions forecasts. Watch for rip current warnings and listen to the lifeguard. When the red flags are flying, stay safe by staying on the beach and out of the water.
Live like a local and love the beach, respect the ocean.
Some people say the Outer Banks has the best fishing spots. Some people talk too much. The Outer Banks of North Carolina, conveniently located just beyond compare.
Do we mark time by what comes before and after? Or is it this moment and what we do with it that truly matters? The Outer Banks of North Carolina starts every day with an open invitation to explore, to pursue unknown outcomes, and challenge curiosities, to stir the soul with open spaces and endless possibilities.
Jewelry by Gail is celebrating its 47th anniversary this year. In loving memory of Gail Kowalski, this hidden gem is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5. A shop that has something for everyone, featuring Gail's signature styles, all types of gorgeous jewelry, men's rings, a unique bridal section where you can build your own engagement ring, the Outer Banks' largest pearl selection, and so much more. Come find the perfect look for that special someone at Jewelry by Gail in Nags Head.
Flat tops were a Frank Stick design. It was a modernist design in its day. Flat tops were really designed to blend into the landscape, to blend into the sand dunes. They were really the environmentalists of their time. They used local sand for the cement blocks. They used local woods. They were really trying to promote the Outer Banks and what the Outer Banks was all about.
Frank Stick, who was a wildlife artist and visionary, a developer and really a Renaissance man, had the vision to develop the property here at Southern Shores in 1947, and as a part of that discovered that the sale of the property would go much better if it had homes on them. So it was he who had the original idea to design the homes in the flat top that was somewhat reminiscent of architecture by Frank Lloyd Wright and also somewhat reminiscent of architecture in Florida. These homes originally were made of cement block from the gravel that they took from the beach right here, and they were actually manufactured right here on the Outer Banks. More than 300 of these homes were built from the late 40s through the early 60s. And now, however, there are just over 30 cottages that still retain the flat roof. This year alone, since October of 2013, 3 flat tops were torn down.
These houses were designed to have a main room for the family and then a wing for the children and the adults to live, and a guest or left side for the maid quarters. Our house was built in 1955 to 58. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It's small, but we love it. What we love most is the juniper walls, the juniper ceilings. It's all original. We even have a front door that has all the colors the house has ever had the trim painted. There's just so much history here to share with your families, and that's why we love Southern Shores.
So all of the proceeds from the tour go to that fund that will help us keep this building forever as a flat top, even as the Outer Banks changes. This cottage will always be here with its vertical shutters and the correct paint colors, the historic sink. We actually had a leak in the sink earlier this winter, and we got the historically correct faucets to replace the old one that had rusted through. So we're committed to keeping this as a flat top with all the right wood and all of the right fixtures. Last year we had over 300 people visiting the flat tops. We were absolutely astounded by the turnout. We had a line out the door all day. People were so enthusiastic about seeing the inside of these iconic cottages. The tickets are only $5. We think that's a great bargain to see the inside of 14 gorgeous cottages. And all of the proceeds benefit the Flat Top Preservation Fund, so it's going to a really good cause. A few decades ago, flat tops were the only building you saw in Southern Shores. The landscape was entirely flat tops. Obviously, the Outer Banks is changing, and it's wonderful that a few flat top cottages still remain as a reminder of from whence we came. Flat tops were built low to the ground and with local materials to sort of blend into the landscape and to use all of the local resources. And we think it's a wonderful reminder of Outer Banks history. It's a great fit for the Outer Banks Community Foundation because we are committed to keeping the Outer Banks a wonderful and even better place to live, work, and play, and flat tops are part of that.
Oh, hello, Santa here at the Christmas shop and general store. Our elves have been busy again with all kinds of new rooms full of ornaments and gifts, like Whoville, the wondering world of Harry Potter, a new coastal room full of everything coastal like shells and glass ball ornaments, and a new room dedicated to everything Outer Banks, so you can take some of our magic back home with you. You have to come see it for yourself. 25,000 square feet of Christmas magic.
In a world of ordinary vacations, live the extraordinary. Book the real Outer Banks.
Welcome to the Currituck Outer Banks. On your way to the beach and need to make a stop for some sweets? These mainland shops have the inside scoop on why their businesses have what you have been craving.
My name is Mallory. I am the store manager of LJ Beaner's Bakery and Cafe in Moyock, North Carolina. We have weekly breakfast and lunch specials. We also offer breakfast every day from 6 to 2 all day. We do sweet potato biscuits made from scratch daily. We are famous for our jumbo 1-pound cinnamon rolls that are a big hit with our customers. We offer all of your baked goods baked fresh daily, from cake pops to donuts to cupcakes. People should stop at LJ Beaner's because of not only the amazing goods that we offer, but also the atmosphere. It's very community oriented here, and we take pride in our community outreach. We also offer seasonal drink options for our coffee, our espresso. Everybody loves a good cold drink in the summer and a nice hot one in the winter, and we've got you covered for that. And then, our food with our specials changing every week, I think it gives the customers a good option.
My name is Darcy Messina. I work at Scoop's Ice Cream Shop on the Shortcut Road on 158 in Shawboro, North Carolina. We have a full-service ice cream shop. We do milkshakes, banana splits, sundaes, brownie sundaes. Just about anything you can dream up, we can make. We can do pints. We can do to-go with lids, so they can take it, or they can sit here and enjoy it in the outdoors, or come inside and sit down with us and have an ice cream. It's not store-bought ice cream. Our ice cream is made for us from a little ice cream creamery in Virginia Beach, and you can only get it at their stores and ours. It's handmade ice cream, all natural ingredients. It's the best.
As you get farther into Currituck and closer to the beach, you will find Outback Candy and the Sweet Sunflower in the heart of Grandy, North Carolina. These two family-owned shops are in the same store, so all your sweets can be found in one location. Outback Candy is like the old-fashioned candy stores your parents or grandparents would have shopped in. From a large selection of saltwater taffy, glass-bottled sodas, canned jams and preserves, to hand-dipped ice cream and shakes, this country store has all the sweets you will need. Need a cake, pie, cookies, or cupcakes for the road or for the beach house? The Sweet Sunflower has a large selection of baked goods as well as custom orders that can be filled before you get to the beach. Just call ahead and let the Sweet Sunflower bake that cake you need to feed the whole family or for that special occasion. You can find more delicious sweets throughout the Currituck Outer Banks, whether on the mainland or in Corolla, at visitcurrituck.com.
Out of the darkness, it still stands, guiding mariners on their way, a beacon of light for all to see. Find your light at visitcurrituck.com. The water is what brought us here. It's our way of life, our playground. The water is what keeps us coming back. Find your calm at visitcurrituck.com.
Kitty Hawk is one of the oldest towns on the Outer Banks. Long before the Wright brothers shared Addie and Bill Tate's home on Moorshore Road, there was a small but thriving community spread around the shores of Kitty Hawk Bay. Very few people know Kitty Hawk as well as Cliff Perry.
I'm Clifton Perry. I was born and raised in Kitty Hawk, born in 1936, and I have been the mayor and town council for 26 years in Kitty Hawk. Up Road and Down Road is what used to be Otilla in the up the road, and Kitty Hawk was down the road, had two post offices. It was divided in two different towns, and sometime when the schoolhouse was built, or sometime it was incorporated and became Kitty Hawk. When I was a kid, this was sort of the hub of Kitty Hawk. To your right over here, there was a country store, and in that store was also a post office, the Kitty Hawk post office. The same way they got supplies at the end of Kitty Hawk Road, they had a long pier right there, and tugboat from Elizabeth City came and brought supplies and mail and delivered it to Otilla Post Office. And then they came around through Kitty Hawk Bay, and there was a long pier at the end of Lodgebaum Road, and that's where the tugboat tied up. They had to be way out there because there's a high shoal. And then in 1944, there came a bad storm and tore up the pier at the end of Lodgebaum Road. My daddy had a fish house down there, and he had his fishing supplies, but he used to take the Wright brothers in a skiff sometime down to where they went ashore to fly the airplane, and he pulled them down there and back at different times. Other people did also. And the day that they flew, they asked him, "Don't you want to go with us?" He said, "No, I'm going fishing." My daddy never owned a car. In a horse and cart, my mother used to deliver the milk while he was fishing. We milked cows. In the stores, it was just a few canned goods, and it was no loaf bread or anything like that in those days. And there was flour and salt pork and meat you could buy from the store. Some of it was locally stuff that was killed and sold here. And my daddy also had a lot of beef. I think he had 81 head of cattle at one time, and the cattle were allowed to run loose until they put the bridge across, and then they passed a no fence law. You had to fence up your cattle. And that was kind of the life of Kitty Hawk. It was fish and wildlife that you killed, squirrels and raccoons and ducks and geese, and that was Kitty Hawk. I mean, we didn't buy much stuff.
Beginning in 1942, the Outer Banks was on the front line of World War II as German U-boats prowled offshore, taking a horrific toll on Allied shipping.
Okay, now we're approaching on the top of the hill at what we call Army Camp Hill. Yep. And on both sides there was barracks for the men to live in, and on the left side was a big tower with a big scope that looked for submarines offshore. One thing about World War II was that you had to have your blinds dark so that at night no light would shine out. And so Edgar Perry, who was the game warden at the time, he also had a deal with Army that he would go around through the neighborhood and check lights at night. If he saw a light through your windows, he'd come knock on the door and tell you had to secure your lights. Behind me is the Kitty Hawk United Methodist Church. It's been here for years. And I remember when it was just a wooden church and high steps in the front. And at that time, I got married in 1954, and that's where I was married. I have a picture of my wife and I standing on the steps. So our last stop today is the Kitty Hawk School, which was incorporated with the Up the Road School and the Down the Road School and became what is known as the Kitty Hawk School. That's where I went to school. And also for the kids all the way from Cavers Inlet to down to Nag's Head, I came to this school. This is about the location somewhere in this area where Otilla was to my right and Kitty Hawk was to my left, and somewhere in this area is where that division was.
Cliff Perry graduated from Kitty Hawk School in 1955. well after the Otilla Post Office closed up shop and the village became stuff of legend. By the 1950s, roads were improving and people were discovering life by the sea. Change was coming to the village of Kitty Hawk, but some things have never changed. The sense of community, family, and history that was so much a part of Kitty Hawk life when Cliff was growing up is still what makes the town a special place.
Treasure memories in Corolla Outer Banks. Go to CorollaNC.com.
Take a tour of an Outer Banks icon and experience what life was like here in the Roaring '20s. Whalehead in historic Corolla Park is a beautifully restored Art Nouveau masterpiece and museum located on the Currituck Sound. For tour information, go to visitwhalehead.com.
My name's David Elder. I've been a lifeguard in the Outer Banks since 1991. Before you head to the beach, know the weather conditions, make preparations, sunscreen, hydrate. Find out where your local lifeguard is. Swim near your lifeguard. If you find yourself caught in a rip, don't panic, float. Get the attention of the people on the beach, wait for help to arrive. If you are a strong swimmer, don't fight the rip currents. Swim parallel to the beach to break free of the current's hold. Then swim back to shore. Live like a local. Love the beach and respect the ocean.
Text OBX Beach Conditions to 77295 to sign up for daily beach forecast and condition reports. For terms of service and privacy policy, visit obxalerts.com.
Welcome to the beach. Be sure of yourself and know your swimming limits. Don't go out too far without your mommy and daddy. Do what floats your boat. Always use a float when you go in the ocean. Come out of your shell and talk to a lifeguard. They can help you. See life's beauty. Watch out for animals in the ocean. Don't get tied down. And watch for shorebreak. It can knock you down. Love the beach. Respect the ocean.
Here in Corolla, we have a wonderful nautical and maritime history that's closely linked to the beginnings of the United States Life-Saving Service. Right here in our shadow, we have also the lighthouse. And the reasons those institutions give us to this day such a wonderful heritage is because of their linkage to a wonderful maritime trade that occurred for years off the coast of North Carolina, primarily in the age of sail. Many of you are probably familiar with the phrase graveyard of the Atlantic, and the reason for that is the very treacherous sandbars and tough weather that occurred with so much regularity just off the coast. In fact, the reason for the existence of this lighthouse and this life-saving station was to protect the lives of those folks who became shipwrecked on these shores. Even to this day, an aerial tour of the Outer Banks reveals hundreds of shipwrecks off the coast. We're very proud to this very day of our connection with our nautical and maritime history here in Corolla. The life-saving service in and of itself is pretty simple to understand. In the age of sail, as ships plied the North Carolina coast en route, for example, from Cuba to New York, from New York to Charleston, as you came around the Cape Hatteras Outer Banks, which juts pretty far out into the Atlantic, famous for wind, of course, because of the Wright brothers, these ships would come into distress and hazard themselves upon the sandbars and become lodged on the sandbars. The life-saving stations usually were about 6 to 8 miles apart, And the surfmen of these stations were called surfmen because they literally waded into the surf to help victims of shipwrecks, would patrol these beaches on foot. And many of the stations had small towers where one individual could get a vantage point of a broader expanse of the sea. And then foot patrols would look for shipwrecks. And when we would find these things frequently at night, hence the lighthouses, the surfmen would immediately take actions to begin to wade into the surf and in many cases swim out to these shipwrecks. If they were closer to a station, horses would bring down what were called Lyle guns that could shoot chairs out into the rigging of a ship and transfer people from the shipwreck to the beach. We see that in today's Navy, as ships will call breaches buoys and transfer personnel between ships. That's what occurred, and that's why they were called surfmen. These life-saving stations, which dot the coast of North Carolina and in many cases the eastern United States, have very much of a military connection. In fact, the very forerunner of what today is the United States Coast Guard was a combination of, at the time, the Revenue Cutter Service, that was the ship side of the Coast Guard, the Life-Saving Service, which was the land side, saving those shipwreck victims, and then the lighthouse service. And at a point in time, those three things came together and became the United States Coast Guard, which saves lives locally to this very day. The Coast Guard, as we know, is a military connection. The life-saving service, lighthouse service, and many of our ships at sea have that same military connection directly linked to Corolla. Corolla, for example, just north of here, the Washwood Station up in the four-wheel drive community was built in 1917. Just recently celebrated 100 years. World War I was occurring at the time, war off the coast of North Carolina. The Congress of the United States appropriated some additional money during wartime to build more of those stations. So the life-saving station that's right here in the parking lot is the original Kill Devil Hills life-saving station. Originally was built in 1878, one of the oldest wooden buildings on the Outer Banks, very close to where the Wright Monument is today. In 1986, the owners of that station decided they wanted to move forward with another vision for their piece of property, and they contacted my father and said, if you come get this station and haul it away, we'll give it to you for free. So my father cut it into 4 pieces and moved it up Duck Road, and that was a very different time when you could still move things up a very simple 2-lane road, and reassembled it here in Corolla. It is the original building and is maintained to this day in the same architecture and the same character as the station would have looked when John T. Daniels and members of that famous surfman crew helped the Wright brothers create modern aviation. In many cases, the life-saving stations themselves became the heartbeat of community. I jokingly say they were the community colleges of the Outer Banks before we had a community college. They had kitchens, they had family members, they had surfmen. The surfmen would in many cases live in the stations seasonally during bad weather, which meant the fall, the winter, and the springtime. In summertime, we have much calmer weather. That's when the surfmen would commercial fish, commercial hunt, make nets, and do other things to earn a living. But the stations themselves were very much the educational system and the social center of the community. In fact, as you look up and down the Outer Banks to this day, many of our towns directly trace their beginnings to a life-saving station. So it's a remarkable maritime heritage up and down the Outer Banks.
PlayOBXGolf.com is your gateway to a great golf vacation on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Stretched between the Sound and the Atlantic Ocean, the Outer Banks offers a one-of-a-kind coastal golf experience. 5 award-winning courses and well-appointed golf accommodations in a picturesque setting make the Outer Banks the perfect choice for your next golf getaway. And fall is the perfect time to experience the best weather and the best course conditions of the year. Your golf trip to North Carolina's Outer Banks is just a click away at PlayOBXGolf.com.
Whether you're here for a week or one long weekend, explore nature surrounded by the ocean and beside the ones you love. Welcome to the Currituck Outer Banks.
Welcome to Jeanette's Pier,
the family fishing spot on the Outer Banks. Make memories for a lifetime while reeling in the catch of the day. From bottom fishing for spot and croaker to jigging for bluefish and Spanish mackerel, experience the thrill of catching a fish from this 1,000-foot-long concrete ocean fishing pier located at milepost 16.5 in Nags Head. Have fun in the sun while fishing with your friends and family. Surf, sun, fish, and fun. Experience it all at Jeanette's Pier, where fishing is catching.
Better sleep means a better life. That's why Outer Banks Furniture offers Simply Luxe from Mattress Grove. Luxurious handcrafted sleeping comfort that's made in America. Simply Luxe gives you pressure-relieving layers, temperature-regulating airflow, spinal-aligning back support with 5 unique support feels for ultimate comfort. Start sleeping better today. Simply Luxe goes the extra mile to hand-tuft many of its models for unparalleled support and durability. Find the complete collection of Simply Luxe mattresses at Outer Banks Furniture, Milepost 1 in Kitty Hawk.
Every place has a story. Stories of romance, drama, adventure, stories of life. Find your story at visitcurrituck.com.
Just across the Wright Memorial Bridge on the Currituck mainland, you'll find one-of-a-kind shopping, dining, and recreational experiences await you. Don't let memories you'll treasure pass you by on the road to the Outer Banks. Find your treasure at visitcurrituck.com.
My name is Terry Kirby Hathaway. I'm the Marine Education Specialist for North Carolina Sea Grant. I've lived out here on the Outer Banks for over 30 years and been beachcombing all that time. Such a wonderful place to beachcomb in all seasons of the year because you never know what's going to wash up. One thing that you find every day out here are oyster shells. What's really interesting is these oyster shells are probably at least 12 to 15,000 years old. They're fossils and people don't even realize it. You'll see baby's ears, which looks just like a tiny little baby's ear. We find moon snails or shark eyes. A lot of times you may find other kinds of bivalve mollusks or ones with 2 shells that have a perfectly round hole drilled in the shell. And it is a drilled hole, and it was drilled by a moon snail because they are voracious predators. And they drill with their tongue, which is covered with teeth. It's called a radula. And they can drill through the shell and get in and eat the animal. You can also find whelks. A lot of people refer to them as conchs, but conch is a Greek word for shell. We do not have true conchs in North Carolina. That's further south, down in Florida and the Caribbean. We have whelks, and we have 3 different species up here on the Outer Banks. We have a left-handed whelk. We have 2 right-handed whelk. So it coils to the right or coils to the left. 2 different animals, both whelks, but the one that curves to the left is called a lightning whelk. The one that opens on the right, this one, is a knobbed whelk. And you can see the knobs on it. Then we have another one that opens on the right. Both of these, but if you look at the top, this one has knobs, the knobbed whelk. This one has a channel around the top. So that's the channeled whelk. But one of the favorites that is very rare to find here, and it's a real treasure if you find one, is a Scotch bonnet, which is North Carolina's state seashell. Another thing you may see are egg cases for some of the animals that live offshore. The whelks that I mentioned lay their eggs in long strings of capsules. In each capsule is 25 to 50 little miniature whelks. We also find skate egg cases, which are also called devil's pocketbooks or mermaid's purses, the little black pouches. The best place to find all these shells is right at the water's edge. The time to go for shelling or beachcombing, looking for beach class, anything, is about 2 hours before and after low tide.
My name is Dana Thomason, and I work at the NC Aquarium on Roanoke Island. I'm actually part of the Education Department in Special Activities, and we oftentimes will find lots of sea turtles stranded here at the beach. It is cold sun season, so we're going to have turtles that are what we'd like to call hypothermic. Their body temperatures have gone below a certain point. When beachcombers come, they might see a sea turtle stranded. They actually want to contact NEST. So NEST is actually a network for endangered sea turtles, nonprofit organization that we actually work very closely with our Star Center. So that's where we have a really cool area at the aquarium, and they are volunteers that are trained through the Wildlife Resource Commission, and they'll actually contact Star Center and get things ready for an intake. We'll often find other larger animals, particularly marine mammals such as dolphins, whales, occasionally seals. We would actually contact the Marine Mammal Stranding Network. So that's another number that they would need to call. Another species you might find here in the Outer Banks, we have other types of birds that are here on our shores. They're resting, this is their natural behavior. So when beachcombers come to the beach, we actually would prefer all of our guests to kind of give them their space for the protection of those animals and respecting them as they're here on the beach.
Outer Banks Furniture is the leather expert on the beach and the only furniture store exclusively offering Omnia leather. With almost 200 different colors and styles to choose from, with unmatched design, comfort, and luxury, Omnia leather only sources hand-picked top-grain hides from the oldest tanneries in the world, then creates the finest chairs, sofas, recliners, and accent pieces right here in the USA. Find the exceptional collection of Omnia leather exclusively at Outer Banks Furniture, Milepost 1 in Kitty Hawk.
The Jolly Roger is bigger and better. Our incredible new bar is the best venue on the beach for great entertainment, gaming tables, and NTN games.
No one takes care of locals better than the Jolly Roger, with special discounts every day on breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
The menu has it all with huge portions at affordable prices and plenty of room for large parties. Always casual, relaxed, and loads of fun.
The bigger and better Jolly Roger.
It's classic Outer Banks. For over 40 years, I've dreamed of building a bigger and better Jolly Roger.
And now your dream is a reality.
Yay!
Carol Ann has transformed the Jolly Roger into the hottest new restaurant and bar that is the best venue on the beach for great entertainment, gaming tables, and NTN games.
My dream has come true, and I can't wait to share our new restaurant and bar with you.
Come see us at the new Jolly Roger.
It's classic Outer Banks.
The Jolly Roger Restaurant.
Something that people love about Edenton, including myself, is our beautiful architecture, our walkable streets, our safe downtown, and the fact that we are so hospitable. Beyond its historic legacy and beautiful architecture, Edenton is known for its strong sense of community. Our small town has a big heart, and we have always come together like a family. From saving our historic cupola house in 1918 to saving the Taylor Theater almost a century later. As close-knit as we are, we still love company and are eager to welcome others to experience Edenton for themselves. We have a community that's interested in preserving not only history, but exactly what Edenton has to offer, which is something rare, and without that community, we wouldn't be what we are today. Something that both visitors and locals get to capitalize on is our beautiful waterfront. Not only is the walkability safe and easy here in Edenton, but you don't have a bad view. You can walk up and down our waterfront, and from any angle, it's exactly the way you'd want to see it. Our historic trolley tour is a 55-minute tour that takes you through the historic district. We have the Roanoke River Lighthouse and many other gems that are still able to be preserved today. When you get to our downtown waterfront, you'll be greeted with the Penelope Barker House and Welcome Center, our Roanoke River Lighthouse, the Cupola House, streets lined with shops eager to have you come in, and some unique dining experiences made just for you. Whether you're in one of our local coffee shops, bakeries, or shopping downtown, you'll always find a friendly face and someone to help you along your way here in Edenton.
Hi, this is Joey the Wine Guy, located in the general store of the Christmas Shop at General Store, located in Manteo, North Carolina, right here on historic Roanoke Island. Join me daily from 11 to 5 for free wine tastings here at the general store, where you can try it before you buy it. Be sure and try our featured German Christmas wine, just the thing to get you in the Christmas spirit all year long. And don't forget to ask me about special pricing on 6 and 12 bottle cases. Whether you're looking for a Chardonnay a Cabernet, or your favorite Merlot, we've got it here at the Christmas Shopper General Store.
Oh, Santa here again for the Christmas Shop and General Store. You know, the General Store has long been a favorite destination within our shop. You'll find favorites like candies and fudge, Heights chocolates, and ready-made Bavarian nuts. Plus, we offer a wide selection of made in North Carolina items, old-time candy, sodas, and more. And our wine section has an even larger selection than